You're watching WAFF 48 News at 6 on your side.
Good Monday evening, everyone. I'm Liz Hurley. Welcome into our streaming version of the 6 o'clock newscast tonight. It has been a bitterly cold day across North Alabama, but these conditions are sticking around for a little while longer. Let's check in with 48 Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis. Brad, it's been a cold one out there, but that may pale in comparison to what you're forecasting for week's end.
Yeah, watch that developing potential winter storm coming our way as early as Friday night. I'll have a lot more about that coming up, but as you mentioned, it's a really cold night tonight. Current temperatures just about ready to fall into the 30s everywhere. Let's take a look at the graphic here. You see 34 in Lawrenceburg. Will likely be below freezing here by 7:30, and we're going to go all the way down to about 18 tonight. You might be able to see the northern lights, and you may be able to start seeing them fairly soon. That coronal mass ejection actually arrived in our atmosphere earlier, around 1:30 this afternoon. So if we're going to see it, we'll see it here within the next few hours. Here's your 3-day forecast. 42 tomorrow. No weather problems outside of it being really cold in the morning. And then scattered showers likely through the day, especially late morning into the afternoon Wednesday. A few leftover showers as we get into the day on Thursday. But here's a look at Wednesday. This is our next weather maker, but the big weather maker we're talking about coming this weekend. I'll have a lot more on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Yes, you will. Tonight, Huntsville city leaders speaking out after a weekend shooting outside a club. They say more changes have to be made. 48's Callie Neese has our story.
One city leader says some changes that have been made have been working to prevent club shootings. However, she says there is more work that needs to be done. Early Sunday morning, Huntsville police responded to Icon Ultra Lounge near University in the Parkway. Officers found Corian Ziegler, who was shot and killed, and another victim with non-life-threatening injuries who was transported to the emergency room by car. Huntsville police officials say they arrested 40-year-old John Linder in connection to this weekend shooting. The Madison County District Attorney ruled the fatal shooting justified under Alabama law. However, Linder faces charges of first-degree assault and shooting into an unoccupied vehicle. He is now free on bond. Late last year, Councilwoman Michelle Watkins supported a group of local club owners in their club jail program. This program allows club owners to collectively make a list of banned people who have caused issues in their establishments. Watkins says so far it has helped prevent violent crimes inside clubs.
I think club jail is enough for the inside, but I don't know the solution for outside of the club. You know, when people are exiting, can you stop individuals from going to their cars? When people are, outside the club and you're inside and you really don't know what's going on. So I really don't know what the solution is for that.
She adds that more discussion needs to be had to figure out what solutions there are to prevent shootings from happening outside of these clubs.
A lot of times it's people get into arguments and the first thing they result to is shooting, and that's not the solution. And unfortunately it happened outside the club, but it didn't happen on the inside.
At last check, there's no word on when Linder's first hearing will be set. Reporting in Huntsville, Callie Neese, 48 News, on your side.
Thank you, Callie. A 48 News update now on a Madison apartment complex that has no running water. 10 of the 23 families remain in the Sutton apartment complex after the city declared it uninhabitable. Those residents have until this Friday to move out. Madison Utilities tells 48 News Lurin Real Estate, the property owner, had its account closed after more than a week without payment. WAFF 48's Noah Cowell will have much more on the situation coming up tonight at 10. A 48 News update now on a former Lauderdale County judge's appeal over his criminal conviction. Former Judge Gil Self will be in court tomorrow afternoon for a hearing on his motion for a new trial. He was convicted last year and sentenced to 12 years in prison for using his office for personal gain. He remains free on a $20,000 appeal bond. The Morgan County coroner has released the name of the woman found lying in a ditch injured on Apple Grove Road. The coroner says 38-year-old Ashley Critchley died from the injuries that she sustained over the weekend. Witnesses say it appears that she was hit by a car. No charges have been announced. State troopers continue their investigation. The Auburn University School of Aviation establishing a new scholarship fund in memory of a student and his father who were both killed in a plane crash in North Carolina. University leaders say the Jack and Dennis Dutton Memorial Scholarship Fund will support future aviation students who share the Duttons' passion for flying. The father and son were killed during a plane crash in Statesville, North Carolina. Retired NASCAR driver Greg Biffle was also killed in that crash. The fund will become an endowed scholarship once it reaches $25,000. Covering a community, the Florence City Council will meet tomorrow to consider adding a marker near a Confederate statue outside the Lauderdale County Courthouse. WAFF 48's Aria Pons talked to the City Council president about tomorrow's vote and the long fight over that statue.
After more than 7 years of fighting, Project Say Something leaders say that no matter what happens at the Florence City Council meeting on Tuesday, a historical marker will be going up to explain the context of this Confederate statue here behind me.
History is history, the good, bad, and the ugly. So I know it probably will be a controversial situation, but the truth must be told.
City Council President Katrina Simmons placed the motion on the council agenda. On Tuesday, the council will be voting on whether to approve the location and the wording of a historical marker.
Project Say Something is interested in it being there, and I think I push forward for it. Let's go ahead and bring it on the table instead of continuing to kick the can down the road. Let's just go ahead and put it out there, and the council will make a decision. They will vote it up or they'll vote it down, but at least we need to move it forward.
The statue has stood outside 3 different Lauderdale County courthouses since the early 1900s. The group that dedicated the statue more than 100 years ago gave a speech using racist language, saying, quote, "Blacks are not equal to whites in the South." Camille Bennett and Project Say Something want the public to know that part of the statue's history. Bennett doubts the council will approve it because of the wording on the marker, though. Simmons adds there's just no other way to word what happened, and Bennett agrees.
And as far as the language, there's never a good way that you can share that language. I mean, it is what it is. You can't fluff that. It is what it is with that language.
Bennett says if it's not approved at the meeting, then she's going to put it on private property because it needs to go up one way or the other. Reporting in Florence, Aria Pons, 48 on your side.
Thank you, Aria. Decatur City leaders will soon discuss a plan to upgrade downtown. Tomorrow, the City Council will look at plans to make local intersections safer while aligning them with the ongoing 6th Avenue project. Some of the intersections highlighted in the project area are Bank Street from Kane to Church Street and 1st Avenue from Lee to Grant Street. Area leaders are also expected to touch on the ongoing lighting issues on the Hudson Memorial Bridge. We'll keep you updated. Heads up now for Madison residents. The city's train alert notification system, well, it's going to be temporarily unavailable tomorrow afternoon. It will be down from 1:30 until 4 for scheduled maintenance. The city is piloting this notification system to help residents there know about train activity, particularly when the Sullivan Crossing is blocked. A new bill moving through the Alabama legislature could remove financial roadblocks for men with a high risk for prostate cancer. 48's Will Eldridge spoke to a survivor and to the sponsor of this bill.
It opens it up to high-risk men. So primarily, this disease is more prominent in African-American males than it is white males. And it opens it up from 40 to 50 is basically what it does, that territory. So it gets to look at it a little bit quicker.
Alabama Senator Steve Livingston says there is data that shows black men and men with family history of prostate cancer are at higher risk of developing it. He wants to make sure those who need to be screened the most can get their screens, which is why he is sponsoring Senate Bill 19. It would require insurance companies to cover screenings at age 40 fully without copays for black men and any men with a history of the disease in his family. I spoke to David McElhaney, a volunteer with Zero Prostate Cancer and prostate cancer minister, who says removing the cost barrier could lead to earlier diagnosis and better outcomes.
Caught early, prostate cancer is nearly 100% curable. But caught late, it drops down to about a 30% pass rate or success rate. So it's critical that we get men tested earlier.
If approved, the bill would take effect in October. Reporting in Huntsville, Will Eldridge, 48, on your side.
Thank you, Will. Meantime, another bill in the state legislature would allow retired law enforcement officers to work as deputies, city police officers, or school bus drivers without interrupting their retirement pay. Under current law, former state employees can only work for state agencies on a part-time basis with a pay cap of $40,000. This bill would increase that cap to $52,000 a year. Next at 6, local volunteers spending the day in the community installing life-saving tools. Plus, care for your little ones adding up. Why some say childcare is now costing more than rent, and how you need to prepare coming up. It's 6:13, covering a community now in Florence where more than 100 people met for breakfast, and most importantly, to celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. For the last 34 years, members of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity have hosted a unity breakfast to commemorate his legacy that lives on today. They celebrate his life, but also members of the community who have continued to spread that very same legacy and kindness. They even brought in a special speaker from Selma, Assistant Attorney General Billy Young, who says the nation needs to remember and heed Martin Luther King Jr.'s message now more than ever.
And Dr. King showed us that one person using one voice truly can improve and make the world a better place.
He says that message starts and ends with you. Communities across North Alabama commemorating the legacy Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. left behind. Dozens packed into a Limestone County church for a very special event to promote community and equality. Sweet Home Baptist Church's pews were filled with community members and local leaders as they all paid homage to Dr. King's life of action. Songs and prayers filled this space as locals learned more about how they can continue Dr. King's mission of equality in their own backyard.
I just want to go ahead for us just to go out, continue to build a community, continue to live out his dream, knowing that we are living a legacy, but not only living a legacy, but we are a legacy within ourselves.
Middlebrooks went on to say that with the current political climate, it's essential we continue to listen to one another and fight for equal rights. Volunteers with the American Red Cross got their hands dirty this MLK Day to install dozens of fire alarms around Huntsville. Organizers say last year alone, Alabama volunteers responded to more than 1,300 house fires across the state. They say it's essential that homeowners have any chance to escape their home in the event of an emergency.
Smoke alarms are a critical part of keeping your home safe. Homes with working smoke alarms allow their residents to increase their chance of survival in the event they have to escape a burning home.
Spark says American Red Cross volunteers respond to disasters like house fires every 8 minutes. So events like these can really help protect the community and save lives. New reports show that finding childcare for just 2 children now costs more than rent in 85 of the 100 largest metro areas in the country. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa breaks down what parents can do to plan ahead in this Watching Your Wallet.
Lending Tree found across most of the biggest cities in America, the cost of child care for a family with 2 kids is significantly more than the cost of rent. Matt Schultz with Lending Tree says that's a major challenge for families that are already stretched thin, making ends meet and putting food on the table. Lending Tree found the average monthly cost of full-time center-based child care for 2 children across the 100 largest metros is $2,252.
And it's causing people to make sacrifices because in a lot of cases you may have one parent who wants to go back to work and build their career and have that sort of outlet. But a lot of times when you go back to that job, all you're essentially doing in that job is putting all that money towards childcare.
Schultz says there's really nowhere in the country where child care is inexpensive. He says it's something that young parents need to be prepared for and also start to save for almost right away.
The sooner you can start saving for the cost of childcare, the better off you'll be. I mean, obviously that's way easier said than done. And it's not like we all have a ton of expendable income to throw into savings, but the more you can save in advance, the better off you'll be.
He says especially if you can take advantage of a high-yield savings account. He says if you can shop around for your child care, price out several facilities, that will help. Also, look at the child care center's history, safety records, and look at reviews from other parents. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Now, your first alert weather with Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis.
Prepare for a very cold night. We're confident in that. Less confidence down the road with this developing winter storm, but I'm going to tell you why coming up here in just a second. 36 right now. We're about ready to fall into the freezing category. The next 12 hours, we'll be in the upper 20s by 10 o'clock and all the way down around 18 or 19 degrees in the morning. So I mentioned earlier, you may want to stream the faucet before you head into bed tonight. Open the cabinets just to make sure nothing freezes up on you. Don't want to wake up to any bursted pipes. And again, as I mentioned all the time, it all depends on the insulation value of your home. Tomorrow, a cold day, colder than today, more of an east-southeast wind late, some sunshine, a high around 42 to 43 degrees again. Going to fast forward to Wednesday, then we're going to talk about the weekend. So Wednesday morning, we wake up cold and frosty maybe, with the exception of the shoals. I think the clouds may keep that from happening. But as we continue on in the middle of the morning through noon, that's when we start to see the rain. And that's all we're looking at here is rain, south wind at 10. It's going to be be a cold rain, though. Once that rain starts falling, the temperatures will drop quickly into the low 40s. So just a wet day as we go into the afternoon hours. The rain will continue for several hours. The roads, poor visibility out there. Also, they're going to be wet, of course. So as we coincide with the evening commute here Wednesday, that's going to be your biggest impact as far as the rain goes. Again, wet roads. Developing potential winter storm. Looking at the AI model, just started looking at that a little bit more. It does have slightly warmer air moving in during the afternoon Saturday. That may really be saving grace if this does become a potential ice storm, and that is a possibility. So as we go through this, I'm using the European model. It's been the best model by far over the past couple of years. It starts it out as snow here as we go through the morning hours Saturday on into the early afternoon, and then it changes it over to a mixture of sleet and freezing rain. And this particular model, the one we use every day, does have us staying in the 20s during the afternoon Saturday. I did mention that other one, the AI, and what the AI does, it runs several different models and it goes back to the past and what's happened before in this situation. However, the challenge with that is that we haven't had this situation a whole lot, so it doesn't have a lot of examples to use. So I would prepare for the possibility we may be looking at some power outages due to freezing rain. That right now, that's my biggest concern. And right on the line here, there's a possibility someone's going to see significant snowfall, and that may end up right north of the Tennessee River up into Tennessee. It's all over with Sunday. However, if we get a lot of snow on the ground, it's going to be markedly colder than what we have forecast right now. Alert days Friday, Saturday, Sunday down to 12, perhaps colder. Again, if we have big snow cover Monday morning, we're going to be closer to 0. So prepare now. The cold is definitely on the way, and we got a lot of mess ahead of that too.
It's almost kickoff down in Miami for the national championship game. Coming up, I'll have one final preview ahead of tonight's matchup.
I think it's time to sharpen the saw now. Throw those warm fuzzies out the door. That sentimentalism. It's time to go play a game against a great opponent. We got to have a sharp edge going into this game. And, you don't go to war with warm milk and cookies.
Well, wisely said by Indiana head coach Curt Cignetti. Another wild college football season is almost wrapped up, but before we get there, we have one final game, the national championship game between Miami and Indiana. It's an unprecedented run for the Hoosiers, playing for the program's first national title. And then on the other side, it's been 20 years since the Hurricanes' last championship, and Miami was one of those fringe teams on Selection Sunday this year. After making it in as the 10 seed, the Canes proved they deserve that spot in this year's playoffs. Now they have the ultimate test of playing the top team in their home stadium. Kickoff for this highly anticipated matchup is just minutes away. And some shocking news out of Buffalo this morning. The Bills have fired head coach Sean McDermott after another season that fell short of a Super Bowl appearance. The Bills lost to the Broncos in Saturday's divisional matchup, marking the fourth time in 5 seasons that Buffalo has lost in the divisional round. McDermott leaves Buffalo with a 98-50 overall record, and he's 8-8 in the postseason. So the opening brings the total for the NFL up to 10 so far this season. 2 jobs have already been filled with head coaches that were fired this season. The Giants fired the former Ravens head coach John Harbaugh, and the Falcons hired the former Browns coach Kevin Stefanski. And then this afternoon, the Dolphins locked in the former Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. So the rest of the teams are still conducting interviews and now have another prospect with McDermott now on the market. And from one Tiger to another, that's the move for the Denver Broncos after Bo Nix suffered a season-ending ankle injury in overtime against the Bills. The Broncos have turned to the other Auburn former quarterback in Jarrett Stidham. Saturday's conference championship game will be the first real playing time for Stidham since the 2023 season. But head coach Sean Payton and the Broncos have all of the confidence in the former Tiger. Liz?
Thank you, Kaylee, and thank you so much for watching tonight at 6. More news here as it breaks. Have a great night.